But so Denise been with her since she was 16 years old, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Denise, are
Very
you
nice
actually?
man, by the way, a super nice guy.
Oh,
You know,
great guy.
when they were doing their residency in Las Vegas, he actually invited me to come to the show and let me sit in the booth with him. It was a great, you know, it was great night. I mean, I hardly even knew the guy, you know, but he was very, very magnanimous and let me sit there in the booth with Celine
Yeah,
Dion.
that's one show I'm bummed I missed. You know,
Yeah.
that big residency in Vegas, I heard it was just outstanding.
Denis, I have a lot of friends that like, you know, like that are sound guys and they're sort of, you know, semi-audiophiles type stuff. And some of them have said, you know, Denis mixes were like, you know, on another level. Like they've, you know, but Denis, you know, when you're that many years with a singer, you know,
Right.
when, okay, I need to, you know, go get this vowel here and, you know, I need to pull back on this vowel and you know the songs so well. I mean, you know, you're mixing at a whole different level when you've been with somebody that long, you know?
Denise, let me ask
Yeah.
you something. I have actually started getting on an SSL console for one reason, particularly because I knew that Denise was actually mixing on it, Celine live.
Yeah.
It is actually my goal to one day be lucky enough to sit next to this guy at the front of the house and watch him mix a show, which I know I am not nowhere near his scale of mixing or skill level, but I aspire to be there, to get there one day. Is he still active in the industry aside from what he does with Celine? Is he? What is
No,
happened to him?
well, first of all, you got to understand he and the original, well, not the original drummer, but one of the early drummers and the monitor guy that we were talking about, they actually started a studio called Studio Piccolo, which is now like probably the most, you know, top end studio in Montreal.
That's
And then,
Montreal.
and then he started his own mastering studio, which is again at another level. He just put together two mobile studio, which are at the top tier. Matter of fact, if you look on Jan's website, there's two mobiles for sale, and it's because Denis basically put them out of business because Denis mobiles are again at another level. So, so Denis, Denis has no reason to go out there other than with Celine. He did do the Corey Hart tour. I'm not even sure if you know who Corey Hart is,
Mhm.
but he had a, you know, he was famous for this long, but I mean, you know, he had a big hit. And other than that, Denis hasn't gone out at all. By the way, Gregory, I got to tell you, I last time I saw Denis, I asked him the question why he's using SSL console.
And the
And
answer
I
was,
and I asked him because his studios are now all SSL. He had an Neve and he took it apart for the, you know, he took it apart for the preamps, but basically the console is I don't know where. So anyway, I said, "Are you using SSL Live because of, you know, like maybe because of, you know, what's going on with the studio and, you know, it's like scratch my back and I'll scratch yours." And he told me, "No, Denis, it is because I truly believe it is the best sounding live digital console there is out there." And Denis would have had a chance to work on all of them. Just to give you some history, the very first digital Soundcraft, the big one, was called a Broadway. The only tour I've ever seen was Celine was out with a Broadway.
Mhm.
And then after that, Denis went to, I think at that point he went to Studer, and then now he's on SSL, you know?
You know what
Well,
series he's
the
on?
interesting thing, if I'm correct on this, Peter Gabriel ended up buying SSL
Yeah, he did.
because he just wanted it to be the ultimate sounding console of ever invented. I
Yeah.
mean, so he really put a lot of time and money into making it just, you know, sonically correct.
Yeah.
And so
I was
maybe
very
that's a good
lucky.
reason.
I got to get to tour their facility out in Chatsworth not too long ago, and that was a lot of fun. It's in kind of this unmarked building, and yeah, very nice. They got a
Yeah.
lot of it turns out that my boarding school also has an SSL board. It's a long story, but there was a student who passed away, and his parents paid for a studio, and they put an SSL board in. And I'm dying to get up there to record one day.
Well, don't die, because then you'll be with that kid, and I don't want you dead. You know, I like you around. By the way, speaking of being around, I got to interrupt all you guys just because that's my nature. Welcome to Thinking Out Loud with Friends, episode 258 consecutively. Remember, everything you hear today is an opinion, so do your own research. And back to our show in progress. There you go. Okay, get Fred.
I was asking what series is he using, Dennis?
Then he was using the 500 because when he started, it was the 500. In his studio, he has a duality. He has a few dualities, and in his mobile, he has the new. In one of the mobile, I believe he has a 500, and I'm not quite sure what's in his lower mobile. I was going to say something about Greg. You might be interested in this. It's still a lot of money, but you know the SSLs are monsters. They're super heavy consoles. But go look at the SSL broadcast link.
System T.
Yeah, System T.
System T. It's been around for a decade. I mean, I can't believe it's that old, but it's still one of the best ones out there.
Yeah, and the thing though is you can have the console, like I think it's 250 path in a single rack space, and then I forget how many a signal path in a 2-rack space, and then you could buy fader tiles in 16 fader tiles. So in other words, instead of having the pig of a monster to carry, you could probably put like a 16 fader and in a small rack space beside you, and then you've got SSL console plugs and everything in something that's portable. Now, how affordable it is, unfortunately, I know where the Canadian distributor is, not too far from me. I just haven't made it out there to look at the prices, but anyway.
And it's all Dante now. The console routes everything Dante, so it's all hooked up with Cat5 cables. There's no. Yeah. It's pretty. We have 2 of them down at Cronkite that they're going to install. So next season when I do Suns Live down there, I'll be on a System T. But
there you go.
That console's been around for at least a decade, because I remember they had this little mobile unit. They drove around the country and stopped at various places, and I can't believe it's still like their #1 seller. But for me personally, the biggest one I ever worked on was the 9000. The thing, I mean, it had to be
8 feet long.
Across, and I couldn't reach the top. You had to put a step stool up to be able to get up to the head amps. But it had everything built into every strip. It was a wonderful console. But God, it got hot. Oh my God, the heat that came off that thing.
Yeah.
Some console designers put the gain down where it should be. Just saying.
Some of them do, yes.
Kurt does anybody here use a gamble? Nobody in this room. Oh my God.
I would love to mix on a gamble. I've never actually got to touch one.
Yeah. Oh, and let me report this when I said the best sounding console, I was talking digital, not analog, because Kurt knows. And we all know actually, but I was talking digital. Let me get that straight before Kurt comes down on me again.
Well, listen. You mentioned that Greg should.
You know that.
Yeah. You mentioned that Greg should buy an SSL, right?
I'd like to put a 9000 against the one Kurt has.
Yeah. One.
So
Greg
the level of
the 5 Kurt has
SSL.
6.
I'm sorry, Gregory. I want to say I also praising the level of education and training that SSL actually provides for a product. I've come across Jen Watman's training in LA. She came down to our shop in Sound Image and brought one more gentleman with her. They really are preparing the proper system for teaching you the console. They open it up with you, teach you how to do all the operations that you need to know on the road. If anything goes wrong, how to replace some of the modules or the batteries, and it's well thought. and it just shows that they really care about this part, about customer care as well, and they give you the proper numbers to call and reach out if anything, if you need to reach out on the road. So they definitely get all of the ends covered, and they really care for that.
And
Boy.
that they're not, you don't get a recording.
Well, the consoles are getting more and more costly, and or some people might say they're getting more expensive. The audio consoles, and SSL is definitely way up there in the pricing, very way up there in the pricing. I mean, they're so pricey. I will bet anything a shop like Spectrum Sound, who's got a million consoles, probably doesn't even have one SSL in their inventory. But oh, Ken Porter walked into the room. He might know something about Spectrum Sound.
Well, I've had SSLs for quite a while. I've got 6 550s, 1 650, 1 300, and 1 200 to 300, 200. But they were cheaper before they were bought by Autotonics.
There you go. See, I was wrong. And that I hate to say that I was wrong. I never ever thought that I would be wrong. Once once I thought I was wrong before this, but I was mistaken. But now, my history of being wrong is over.
I used to be conceited, but now I'm perfect. But I did make a mistake once. I thought I was wrong.
Yeah, there you go. Just like me. I want that to be my epitaph. That's it.
Yeah, along with playing My Way at your funeral. That's it.
Yeah. Absolutely. By the way, speaking of My Way, I'm not going to wear this, but today, actually, May 7th, when this is being recorded, today is my 74th birthday.
Big birthday, boy.
Now for those who know me,
happy birthday, Dan.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
For those who know me, this will understand. If you look at this necklace that a friend of mine gave me last night for dinner, I'm going to show you all the things. Look at this.
I will honor you appropriately on the back lounge page later.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Jeez.
Oh, look, it spins inside. Should be motorized.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But anyway, for those who know me, understand this much better, than what it is. But anyway.
That's right.
So it's interesting when you become, when you have an age, a birthday, you always start to get, well, I don't know about everybody, but me, I get very introspective and thinking about life and what's next, where I am, what I've done. This has been an amazing year for me. Just an amazing, beating cancer, doing the things that I'm doing, getting married, all of these things that are just very, very life-changing just in nature.
There's an opening for Pope.
There's an opening for Pope, but I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in being a Pope on a rope than anything else. But
that could get a lot of action.
The other milestone, it was a bit of a down milestone, but I heard you lost one pickleball game this year.
Oh no, I lose more than one. I lose one at least every time I play. But it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. And that's really true, in accepting competition. But for the most part, every game you play that's not competitive for a tournament, you should be improving your game, looking for things to make your game better. So that's just
what's going on here in Florida right now. There all these like big stores, like JCPenney and all those big stores that are closing. They're turning them into high-end air-conditioned pickleball courts with bars and the whole sports bar thing, everything. Pickleball, and they're making bank, man. They're making money hand over foot. All these people.
Yeah, I mean it's a very popular sport.
In Mount Juliet, Tennessee, they have built a new warehouse complex, and one of the big box buildings that's going to have Pickleball America in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Crazy.
funny.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be deaf though after playing pickleball because I've
Yeah.
heard that the transients from pickleball is worse than being a drummer.
Oh yeah.
Well, it
Uh-oh.
depends what paddle you use.
Criticize.
It really means I'm serious about that. There are certain paddles, like the most popular one is what a Z5, and that's kind of a metallic paddle. And because it's inexpensive, a lot of people generate to that, and that makes a ton of noise. Now,
Is the Z5
they might be
has
banning that
two,
soon.
the Z5 has two 18-inch drivers, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it hits 165 dB at any moment.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, 150 dB at 1 meter. Just, we're going to take all the drivers out of the Myers and just put in pickleball rackets.
There's a beware label on those rackets, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, I wanted to ask: did you get your 900s out of your place, or are they?
Oh yeah, no, those are. Oh God, they're long gone. Yeah, no, they the loss would have been terrible. So not only would I have lost it, but I didn't have room to pack out the ATA cases, nothing. So it's a miracle the place didn't burn. I mean, it really.
Well, let me ask you something. What's the update on what's going on with you and your neighborhood?
Not too much. It's pretty quick today. Everybody's, getting their house cleared. Army Corps of Engineers is doing the majority of the clearing. There are some private contractors. I guess the big news is that there's no point in building too fast because there's so much contamination that if you build too fast, you're just going to actually end up having to pay to do remediation on your job site. So the best path forward is kind of do get the foundation done. You can do trenching, you can do all sorts of stuff, walls on the outside, exterior walls that could be hosed off and that kind of thing. But any interior surfaces at this point would be just completely ludicrous because you're going to have to pay to clean them.
You should spend your money on some of these.
Yeah, I love those blue casters, Kurt. Where'd you get those?
PenFab X80s showed up.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
I'm looking forward to hear. I'm looking forward to hear. Imagine one of those on top of one of the 2100
All right.
there, whatever
Let me
it
see.
is.
Let's see the speaker again because I just pinned you and now I know what you look like and your roof looks like, but let's look at that. Let's look at that new Meyer.
Oh man, look
That
at
is
that.
the
Oh, it's
that is
still in
the
the carton. Holy
X8,
smokes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
what can you tell us about that, Kurt?
I heard it at NAMM.
It's basically a panther in a trap box.
Wow.
Yeah, and does it come with the Panther price?
Almost. Analog and digital in out.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what did you get on the
One.
back there? So you've got Milan,
Ethercon for data and or Milan, Analog IO, and True One, and they're all TOP. So they're all weather protected. The whole box is weather protected, so it's got the different mesh in the front. And
does it need a hood? Does it need a hood, Kurt?
Nope. 2 of these are going to hang outside all summer in Bend on spot towers as delays.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. And what's inside that? What's inside the X80?
I think it's got
two 12s and a 1-inch. Yeah, two 12s and a 4-inch.
That's it.
4-inch.
Exactly.
And it's got that standard Meyer grill. That's for sure.
This is the weather protected one where it's a really fine mesh, so water can't get in there.
Wow.
So it is the WP version.
Yep.
I
very good.
In Seattle,
I heard
the Northwest.
that at NAMM. It's gorgeous.
It's too bad though that they didn't make it so that I believe that you cannot do remember the UPAs, you could just do an horizontal array by just tucking them in. I'm not sure that box will have that, or you're going to have some form of plate to get the proper spacing to not have lobing happening outside.
That is correct.
They make a plate that's it's not out yet, but they make a plate for the X40 it combines multiples, and the old Meyer standby was 2 fist lengths between the fronts.
Yeah.
And so it'd be splayed. The fronts wouldn't be together. It's not really the intended application so much, but they're probably going to come out with that. And you can rotate the horn. So this is the standard X80. The X82 has narrower coverage in the horizontal. So this is 50 by 95 horizontal, but you can rotate the horn. So if you rotated the horn, you could have a couple of them next to each other at 50 horizontal and get a lot of vertical coverage, which, if you did 3 wide, that would be quite the PA.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Just
You
one
know,
of those
I have an
on a
idea for you.
900.
I have an idea for you, Kurt. You need to call Steve Ballmer and see what he needs for his house, because I hear now he is the richest man in your neck of the woods at 118 billion dollars with a B, and
Yeah.
and today they retired Skype. I mean,
Yesterday.
how did this
I
guy
did
make so much money?
I did the Zune launch with Steve
Oh,
Ballmer.
wow.
The Zune, and
Yeah,
they
the
had a
world
water wall
famous
behind him.
Zune.
Yeah.
The Zune, they had a water wall
work.
that they lit up behind him as he was doing the announcement, and the drain wasn't draining fast enough to catch the water. So as he's standing there, the water starts running all the way across the carpet, across the stage, and dripping off the front edge. Might
How
have been
did
an
this
omen
guy
for
make
the-
so much
for the-
money? That's what I
the
want to know.
Zoom.
How did he get so rich
Well,
from
he
running
had- he-
Microsoft so poorly?
He
I don't know.
he had a ton of stock,
Stock.
and the stock has just gone AWOL. I mean, the stock is amazing.
Hey,
Yeah, they
Kurt?
must be doing something that I don't know. Yeah, Kenny?
does that new box you have is like the CQ2 and CQ1 thing? Is it the same sort of thing, only in a new generation?
Well, it's kind of like that and the MSL4, sort of. It's not horn loaded, but the drivers are, slanted inward like the Panther with a horn in the center, whereas the CQ would have been the horn up here and the 15. CQ is,
But
I got those.
yeah, but it is a constant Q tweeter in the X80.
Yeah, the CQ is right here, and it's got the 15 and then the horn.
Yep.
But so it's kind of, and then it's sort of, everybody wants an MSL4 replacement, but they're just not doing it. They're not doing the horn loaded mid for the controlled throw. I've got 12 of them, so I don't really need it myself.
But I've done a bunch of CQs where we had I did like a CQ1 and CQ2, CQ1s, straight out, kind of with the
you could stagger them. Put a
for
1 in the
side.
middle and 2s on the sides. I've only got CQ2, so I don't have any 1s.
All right.
But wasn't
Hey, Kenny, be careful with that knife, buddy. I don't want you to cut yourself on the show. That's it. Although it would make great watching. I mean, I'll tell you, we'd get a lot of views. And then, I take it back. It's okay. Cut yourself, but just let us make sure it's on camera.
There's something you haven't seen in a while, Ken.
What
Oh
escape.
wow!
I'm
Yeah,
playing
look at that.
Haven't
I
seen one of
thought-
those in a while, have you?
Oh my God.
Oh, geez.
I
For
used
those of you who don't know what you're looking at, that's an MSL3.
Yep.
Anyway, let's see. One of my friends just came in the room for a little while, but left. Doug, sorry, Doug, I didn't get to say hello before you left. All right. Anyway,
so
he's a
that
video guy.
Okay.
I got something else for you guys. In Franklin, Tennessee, I ran into a friend of mine. What we got?
Mute Kurt there for a second.
Oh.
Okay, good.
It's got more play on speakers. Anyway, a friend of mine's been this past 6 weeks wiring studios in the Walmart in Franklin, Tennessee. And the Walmart has taken the front section in front of their food court where they walk in the door and now have built a studio complex. They got an Atmos room. They got a full tracking studio. They've got several podcasting, overdubs studio rooms and stuff like that, all fitted out. They had a New York acoustic consultant design all this stuff. And it's in a co-deal with Full Sail is kind of sponsoring it, kind of putting it together. And this is a test one. They're talking about putting them all over the country.
But
Wow.
what's the purpose? What's the use case here?
People can come in and do podcasts and stuff like that, things like that for an hour, do demo tracks and their song they've written and things there, how to get it in there.
Wow.
Or you can come in, you got a mix room, you can do it for an hour, you can do it for a day,
And that's going to be a Walmart's?
It's in a Walmart. And of course, one of my guys that told me about that, and he's like, but there's 2 studios that didn't make it not too far from that Walmart in the past few years. Said, how's this?
So in other words, they're putting it in the Walmart, but it's not Walmart's putting in a studio. They rented a space in the Walmart building.
I'm not sure Walmart's renting it because, Full Sail is not really in a business thing, but it's like they're sponsoring it and guiding them on it, putting it together.
That's an interesting thing to look into.
Well, I mean, Full Sail is making so much money with, with students paying an exorbitant price. Maybe they figured they're going to be able to squeeze money out of people paying for that stuff as well. Because I can't make sense of big studios that size anymore.
Well, the other question too is if they put them in different parts, and you have students that went to the Full Sail and they're working in a church or something like that, but they need to do they want to do a project, where do they go?
Well, was Walmart's open 24/7?
Yeah. Some of them are, not all.
Really? Wow.
So
yeah, because I guess if it's 24/7, it's perfect for the performer that's got munchies. There you go.
Well, Greg, don't you know people over at Full Sail? Can you find a story on how it's going and what they're doing on it?
Oh man, I stay
right there. You only live that far from them.
Full Sail as possible.
The Waltons, when you combine them, they are by far the richest people in the world. As far as Americans go, they are super wealthy. I mean, you put their billions together and they tower everybody else, including Elon Musk.
But probably not the Rothschilds. I don't think they're topping the Rothschilds.
Well, they're worth, okay, so each one of them is worth a couple of billion, so basically, I think there's 3 or 4 of them. So it's like, $400 billion. $400 billion. Man, I just love saying it,
That's 400 billion more than I have.
Yeah, I was just going to say anything over 2 billion is just ostentatious to me,
Yeah, that's right. What if once I passed 2 billion, I just started giving it away. That's it.
You need to put a disclaimer. It's time to check your facts, because last time I remember the 3 family members were something like 10, 11, 12 in the number of billionaires, and they're somewhere in the 40s or something like that. So.
Check. I was just looking at a list of billionaires. That's how I happen to have this information close at hand. That's
Everyone has an opinion.
That's right. That's right.
What is the official disclaimer, Jan?
Oh, here it is. I got it right here. The Forbes richest people in every state. I'll throw the link in the chat, but I thought it was pretty amazing. Let's see, who is the richest in Tennessee? Let's see, Tennessee. A guy by the name of Ken Porter. Ken Porter, that's it. No. Let's see. Tennessee. The richest family in Tennessee is Thomas Frist Jr. and family, and they own hospitals. Do you know them, Kenny?
He started HCA, and he was several of them were cardiac surgeons.
Yep. So there you go. He's a rich man. I'll put the link in the chat so you guys have
Ingram
this.
family was probably number 2 or 3. Ingram Barge and Book of Barge and all that stuff there.
No, it's amazing how much money is out there right now, and unfortunately, none of us seem to have a piece of it.
What's the list in Arkansas?
In Arkansas, let's see, alphabetical order by Arkansas. Rob Walton and family. That's 113 billion, and he's a mere 80 years old. That's all. So
we're complaining about us here being poor. An interesting fact: if you've got food in the fridge, money in the bank, money in your pocket, and a place to live, you're in the top 8% of the people on the planet.
Yeah.
So we may not be in that top 1%, but hard for us to complain,
Absolutely.
Zig Ziglar, not Zig Ziglar. I'm sorry. Earl Nightingale. I always get these two guys confused, but if you're into motivational speaking at all, Earl Nightingale basically says that this is the first time in the history of the planet that, the rich are not that much separated from the poor in what they have. They might have, let's say, the rich might have a Mercedes and the poor might have a Gremlin, but they still have a vehicle that can get them from point A to point B. It's just the Mercedes or the Rolls Royce will get you there in more style. If it gets you there, especially the Rolls Royce, you have to keep it maintained.
Well, I don't.
So is the Waltons the same Waltons on the television show?
No.
No, 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 no.
No, they came before the Waltons. And speaking of big money, man, Warren Buffett is going to retire. At 94, he's saying, well, I think it's time, and he's not even retiring right now. He's going to take till the end of the year. He wants to be 95 before he retires. It's pretty amazing. The guy's still around. I mean, Charlie Munger passed away a couple of years ago. And, these guys were very, very brilliant. Brilliant guys.
Did you get to watch the race on Sunday, the NASCAR race, when they had the national anthem and they had a guy 100 years old that sang the national anthem, and he was the only living from the Iwo Jima battle of World War II?
Mm.
Wow.
No, I missed that one.
I was watching the Miami Grand Prix, so which I tell you what, don't ever go to the Miami Grand Prix, and with all due respect to Las Vegas, don't go to that one either. You're going to go to a U.S. Grand Prix, go to the one in Texas.
I've been to the Montreal one a few times, and it was just after the starting line, which is at the end of a straight. So they're coming out of a straight, which is they're running at their top speed, and then there's like a 90-degree angle, and then a U-turn, and then back to a straight. So, man, oh man, they're coming around that U-turn at 80, 90 miles an hour. And I had to wear earplugs. I actually did not wear my earplugs for the first couple of laps just to, get into the vibe and hear the Ferraris and stuff like that. But, after a couple of laps, put them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
gets very loud, very, very loud, very fast.
I used to go to Watkins Glen for years. I used to fly up and go to the U.S. Grand Prix in Watkins Glen. That was fun. That really was.
I had an amazing experience at Watkins Glen now that you bring it up. And we were talking about earlier about writing a book. And so, but I went to Watkins Glen because I didn't go to Woodstock. And I heard when I was living in New York, and I was younger, much younger, that Watkins Glen was going to have the Grateful Dead, the Allman Brothers, and what other band was there? Does anybody remember? I can't remember. I think maybe the Riders of the Purple Sage. The band. That's it, the band. And so I went up there, and I had just gotten out of the military. I was in the National Guard, and I was being trained as a medic. And while I was in the crowd, like miles away from the stage, this guy was ODing. And my training came in handy, and I saved this guy's life. And this is the old days. They'd never do this today. But, man, they got a helicopter to evacuate us to backstage. Why they didn't take the guy to the hospital right from there, I have no idea. I don't remember. But I saved this guy's life, and I'm backstage now at Watkins Glen, and Bill Graham, who is the promoter, comes up to me and says, man, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. What I want you to do is I want you to stay backstage, and you could be the medic backstage. And they gave me complete access, and I'd never, I had no idea of what it was like to be backstage, and it was really hot. And what I remember is that there was fencing around the backstage area, and there was water. They had a hose, and everybody was really hot. And Bill Graham took the hose and started cooling everybody down that was outside the backstage fence. which I thought was really cool. And then they gave me a T-shirt, which I still have the front part. The rest, I wore it till it disintegrated. And then I got to be able to actually sit on the stage and listen to the Grateful Dead. It was an amazing experience.
Did you have any apple juice?
Not that time.
Yeah,
Not that
I was
time.
just
I
gonna
had learned
say,
my lesson
did
from
you
the
get
time I saw
those?
them at Fillmore East.
Yeah,
That was
You
the
know.
first effective use of delay towers with a very early Eventide Bucket Brigade analog delay.
Wow.
It was a great concert.
What do you figure, Kurt? A7s?
I don't have any idea. I know that they got in a helicopter and they flew up to the Macintosh factory and talked the Macintosh people into giving them a bunch of amplifiers that the Navy had on hold because the Navy used the Mac 2500s to run their sonar at the time. And so they loaded up a helicopter with a bunch of Mac 2500s that didn't even have the serial numbers on and flew them back to Watkins Glen because they needed more power.
Wow.
how many could they get in a helicopter? 6?
Yeah, they're pretty heavy. So yeah, they probably had to leave some people behind.
Yeah.
All right, gents, I gotta go.
Let's see.
Great to see everybody.
Good to see
Bye.
you.
Thanks.
Have a great
Thanks for
week.
staying. Be
Chris?
careful of septic, when you're up there. Be careful. I put a little thing in the chat for you to look at with Adam Carolla.
Oh
all
yeah,
right?
I see that septic Malibu. Yeah. Oh no, it's
Yeah.
just by the way, they say there's an algae bloom off California. I wonder what caused the bloom, but it's like killing everything.
Yeah,
It
we get them in
doesn't have
Florida
anything to
all
do
the
with
time.
I mean, if you look at algae blooms, for instance, they occur when there's been a lot of fertilizer use, and then the water goes out to sea and carries all of that stuff out, and then you get these blooms in the salt water. So kind of got a feeling this bloom is probably related to fire runoff.
Yep, I would
Well,
think
listen,
so.
I'm going to give you a little bit of medical advice. Just remember, do your own research because everything is an opinion. But I read an article that green tea may boost your health. Green tea may boost your, especially dental health. And regularly drinking green tea could produce and protect your body from having cavities and gum disease and bad breath. And of course,
Oh, yeah. Green tea is fantastic, and rooibos from South Africa is also really good.
There
But
you
the
go.
only issue
And
with
maybe it
green,
might even help you from algae. What do you know?
but the only issue with green tea is it does have a lot of taurine, so it's quite, you get quite stimulated from drinking green tea. So don't have it before bed.
That's right. There you go.
Or on a flight on Jow.
You can do decaffeinated green tea too.
What's
I
that?
pumped a lot of tame down in New Orleans once.
Yeah, that was after drinking 5 hurricanes.
Well, this kind of information might put me up to the top of YouTube, seeing only 20 trillion videos have been uploaded. I think this might be one of the top ones,
Yeah, what's funny, Jan, is when your system posts it, I get my Facebook feed is like the same feed on like 5 different accounts. So it's
Right.
just like, okay, I'm gonna view this one to give them the likes, and then the other ones they go, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about that and what I want to do because I have two YouTube accounts, one SOUNDBROKER and one Jan Landy, and it gets posted to both, but I have different viewing audiences on both of them. So I think
Yeah,
what the
I'm not
best thing to
talking
do is
about
keep it going.
YouTube. I'm talking about Facebook. You have SOUNDBROKER, Jan Landy, friends of SOUNDBROKER, aunties and cleaning ladies of SOUNDBROKER. God knows how many.
Yeah, people who want to know about SOUNDBROKER. Yeah, that's actually, there's 3 pages that it goes to. I think it actually goes only to 2: SOUNDBROKER and Jan Landy. They both go to that, and LinkedIn. And one of Greg is Gregory. Are you in the room?
Yeah.
one of your videos talking about education and sound companies got something like 2,200 views on LinkedIn, which we've never had before. Pretty impressive. Anyway, so what else is going on with everybody?
Well, I'd like to ask Ken Porter a question.
Ask him a question.
So
Ken, what will it take for Stage Tech consoles to break into America?
He's laughing.
did Mike give you a call?
Pardon?
Did Mike give you a call, Mike?
Nobody called me. No, but I'm asking you, like, never mind what I sent you in an email. I'm asking, like, you're dealing with like big clients. You're dealing with like multiple, like, when you just gave us your SSL inventory, I mean, how come Stage Tech consoles are not breaking? Is it because they're that expensive or because people don't know them?
They've only been in broadcast and Broadway things, mostly in Europe and Asia, in Performing Arts Center. There's a few of them in some broadcast stuffs in New York and some of the majors here. But for the most part, it's an installation. That's why they're trying to figure out how to get it into a portable setup and how to be more flexible. But it's more people got to figure out what it is. And the biggest thing has to do with, to me, is the realizing you don't need a mic pre and you do all the A to D converter.
Yeah.
Now, if you're interested in that, in the Stage Tech, one episode, and I believe it's pinned to the my Facebook page, of where we had Mike come in and explain how the console worked. I thought it was brilliant, and that's why it's pinned up there for people to learn.
Yeah, lots of good info on that episode of yours of that stuff. But what I like about the Stage Tech things is, especially that new console, is they have so many different options of, do you want just faders and a screen? Do you want fader spot and a screen? I mean, there's so many various options of what you can do with that. And, I'm surprised that nobody's caught on to that one.
Well, that's why they started that, because the broadcast people want different things. They want to give some people that want to program it, and give everybody the flexibility or the option to change something they don't want changed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, those broadcast engineers, I mean, especially the guys,
doing the sports
do
stuff.
Sports.
Sports.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Hey, did you guys, anybody see or hear anything about the Lady Gaga showdown in Rio?
I just heard
I
it
have
was
been
2
to that
million
location
people.
many, many times.
I heard
2.5.
something about didn't they foil a
bomb plot? Yeah,
a bomb plot or something? That's what I heard.
Something like that, yeah, but that's not why, I mean, that's not really the news. The news is that she delivered a free concert. 2.5 million people showed up for that, and it's now, they say that it's the largest attended concert by a female artist anywhere in the world. And not only that, it's been broadcast on YouTube. I mean, they have a really phenomenal video of the whole show. I believe it's 2 hours on YouTube.
wow.
If you haven't seen it, just got to Google.
I wonder who did production for that.
Live Nation.
No, I mean sound production.
Oh, I could tell you for sure, Gabby Sound. They have a lock on the Brazilian. They have a lock on that beach. I mean, they've been doing that for as long as I could remember. They also do Rock in Rio.
But what product are they using? What product are they using? Is it D&B? Is it Claire?
Yeah.
Is it
What?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And I'm not going to go on air and talk about it.
D&B did Madonna and the Stones when they were on Copacabana.
Okay, well then that means that was D&B again, if Jan is right.
Yeah.
Coachella was pretty good.
I mean, he's got one of the largest inventories. He's basically, my understanding is that his company is larger than Claire as far as inventory goes, which is, I mean, because he has all of Brazil, he has all of South America, plus he has Portugal and Spain.
It's hard to get equipment into Brazil simply because of the tax situations.
It's extremely difficult to get it into Brazil because, especially, it's not only tariffs. Brazil has a ban on anything used. They will not take in any used equipment. And the reason that is why is not because of the sound, it's because America was dumping all of their old refrigerators
Yeah.
down there and their old cars and whatever we wanted to get rid of, we were dumping in Brazil, and they put a stop to that because it was an old refrigerator takes more electricity to run. So they put a stop to that, and of course Brazil has an amazing ability for manufacturing, and they're huge. Brazil is huge. It's a huge country.
They're one of the largest airplane manufacturers too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they make the Taurus gun. I mean, the Brazilian, and they make TVs, and they've got a huge area down south in Brazil where they have a major manufacturing hub where they manufacture almost everything, including cars.
And they have a lot of beef. If you're a meat eater,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Like
lots
being
of
in
beef
Utah.
there.
Aren't they a big wax producer?
I'm not sure. About
Brazilian wax, yeah, they do. They're famous for their wax, the Brazilian
Yeah.
wax.
okay.
I would normally I would talk about my experience with the Brazilian wax, but in
No,
this case,
thank you.
I'm gonna give you a break.
Thank you,
Isn't
Jan.
that surfboard wax? Not what you're talking about?
That's
Yeah.
Mr. Zog sex wax.
No,
I used to know Mr. Zog. I used to know him. When I
I
was
thought you
going to
weren't going to
school up in
talk about
UCLA.
that.
No, sex wax is not what you think it is. It's for surfboards.
Mhm.
But your mind is where I like it to be, Greg, so it's okay.
Excuse me?
Birds of a feather. Yep. It's very, it's interesting. Brazil, if you've never been there, it's a beautiful country. I mean, amazing. But their natural resources is beyond off the hook,
I get
and
3
Jan,
Rock and Rios for me. So,
yeah.
Jan, do
Which
you know
three
what,
did you do?
huh?
Which three did you do?
Iron Maiden twice and Aerosmith once.
Yeah.
What did you do on Iron Maiden, Gregory?
Yep.
What did you do, and which capacity did you work at show?
I was just a crew guy. One of the turbo sound. I had blue paint for years. When all the turbo sound cap TMS 3s, TMS 4s, they were all blue painted. It took at least 3 years to get blue paint off of me and off of my clothes. It was everywhere. So yeah.
Why? Because they painted them after every show and it was still wet.
No. It was a type of paint that they used. In different weather conditions, it would just like come off like dust, And we when you go into the turbo sound factory, you see all the guys working there. They would have aspirators all blue. So they were great boxes, though.
The one that Pink Floyd were using in '94. I only ever heard those once and was on that tour. And the flashlight, sorry, was that the flashlight or the floodlight? I think it was the flashlight. Anyway, it sounded pretty special.
What year again?
94.
Okay.
94 and well, and with the Pulse tour. I'm not sure. It's been a long time, Ken.
I think it was off flashlight.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And it sounded pretty good.
I saw him in the Berlin at the Wall, and it was all flashlight there. That's where they premiered the flashlight at Roger Waters at the Wall in Berlin.
Flashlights were nice.
Yeah. Gregory, for your information on that tour, 2 PM 4000, a PM 3000, and a custom XL3 with quad joysticks on it. One guy was doing drums and perks on a PM 4000. these David Gilmour, studio guy, was doing the stereo mix on the other PM 4000. The guy who was running the two 8-track machines, and I mean 8-track machines, and all the effects return, which were coming into the PM 3000, and all three consoles could feed into the Midas, which went to right, left in the front, and then two sides in the back.
The old Mavis concept.
Yeah, there you go.
So anybody know what they used at Coachella? Was it all Dave Ratz stuff?
Yeah,
Awesome.
probably. Yeah. Dave,
Well-
he's I believe it's all acoustics this year.
That's a lot of gear down there. Ken, do you know anything about it?
There were some acoustics out of rap, but then several other manufacturers had different stages they gave them to. And then I know that Digico was there doing a lot of stuff, training, helping people out and stuff there. So I don't know whether they had stuff in there, and also heard some other ones were there.
Sound Image also prepared a lot of boxes and amplifiers, because it's been a lot of that in our location just being sent out, and yeah, plenty. Actually, most of it that we have.
There was the YouTube mixes that I listened to actually sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
But-
Hey, Ken, are you doing EDC this year in Vegas?
No, 3G is the does their stuff, and then PRG and a bunch of other people all give stages. I assume last I heard, PK Sound also had a stage.
That's a big show. That's about 500,000 people showing up.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah,
Where's
I got
that at?
some stuff going on. That's in Vegas Motor Speedway.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big show. Big show, EDC. I mean, EDC is on the road now. They take it to a lot of different cities. They had one, and they go all over the world. EDC goes all over the world. It's a big concept. Good show. Good show too. I've been to one of them. It's, if you like that kind of stuff, and you like that kind of, heavy beat of, repetition of the same. To me, every song actually sounded the same.
A ton of
for
subwoofers.
hours. Yeah, a ton of subwoofers. Yeah. I guess I wasn't doing enough ecstasy. I guess, well, I wasn't doing any ecstasy. I guess that was the problem why I didn't enjoy it. So there you go.
Is Function One doing any of those gigs? Ken, you would know that, right? Is Function One there?
I haven't seen the ones I've done. It's been a couple of years since I've been at a show. But the other one too that talk about is that every stage has a different kind of there's dubstep, there's dubstep 2 type, there's hard house, there's house, there's trance music, all different stuff, different things what you're looking for.
By the way, speaking of Vegas, and Kenny Chesney should be at the Sphere any minute now, but basically the Sphere has just did something that they've never done before, and they're offering a discount now, to a 20% discount to the Postcards from Earth. So if you're in the sound of my voice and you live in Las Vegas and you have proof of ID, you could save 20%. That's a big savings. You can go
I
see
just
it.
saw the Eagles
Like
are going
public
back
service.
there in October, front of their residency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Backstreet Boys are going in there, but they're losing money. They're losing money hand over fist
The
over at that
Eagles are
place.
going back in there to finish their movie. That's what they're doing.
What movie are they making?
They're making a movie?
Yeah. Of the show, it's the Eagle. It's a show video.
Okay.
It's going to be a DVD or something.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I saw, and I posted it to the back lounge, the video. Whereas there is no speakers, there's no stacks at all. And
Yep.
it's interesting to me because for years and years and years and years, I always thought that one of the benefits of going to a live concert was to see that huge amount of speaker system, to see all of that big
Well,
production.
You're not quite right there, Jan. There is a stack. It's behind the screen, so you can't see it. And there's a monster block which is actually an LCR above the band. I believe, I forget how many feet above the band. So there is a large stack, there is a huge block, but it's behind the screen, so you can't
Yeah.
see it.
I think he's just talking about the psychological effect. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
remember the old days with the horizontal rays. I mean, we would
Okay.
have
Yeah,
three
yeah,
high,
yeah.
but you know, you'd be up 60 foot in the air, 80, 100 foot in the air stacks.
Yeah.
You know, and now with vertical rays, you got okay, well, we got this and we got this. Hell with that, you know.
Jan just misses the days when there were lots of cases for all the girls to sit on.
Yep.
I was thinking about the
Let's
days.
not
you
go there
always
this
put 'em on
episode.
top of
Yeah.
the amp rack, so they're nice and warm for you.
Yep.
Yes.
I've done better.
Isn't it warm in here? Oh my God. Isn't it warm in here? Well, you know, we can't do anything about that, but if you want, take off your clothes. You know, that'll cool you down. Oh, thank God. Thank God I'm not famous. That's all I could say. Thank God I'm not famous.
Yep. You be getting lawsuits right now. Who was it who just got a big lawsuit for that? Famous
Led Zeppelin just got sued over the song rights. Didn't get it in the movie that they didn't pay their royalties to the writer on the song.
Oh wow!
So I was going to talk about Zeppelin. Have any of you seen the Becoming Led Zeppelin movie?
No.
So I watched it the other night.
I missed it when it came through town.
You can rent it now. So we were like Friday night, okay, let's watch a movie. So we just rented it, and it's definitely been AI'd, like the Let It Be thing. You know, same kind of trip. Everything's a little brighter and a little better. But as great as the Beatles stuff sounded, I felt like it was like somebody took the AI ratio button and turned it to like 11, because it was like everything sounded the same, whether it was old studio footage or a live concert or tracks from a record. And it all sounded like Zeppelin, but it's like they had an algorithm that said, you know, it's the Led Zeppelin algorithm, and it's all the same. It's like the Zeppelin, you know, it sounds like their deal where it's the ambient drums and, you know, and the kind of the quick slap on the drum, the kick drum kind of stuff and all that, you know, from the room. That's all there. It's the real recordings, but it's so enhanced that those records don't sound like that. They don't have tons of low end, you know, they don't have like subwoofer low end going on and stuff. It's just that you got to check it out, because maybe it's just me, but sounded really weird. The movie's great. It's totally worth watching. Story and the things you learn, all that's great, but it's just a little too excited. It's a little too enhanced.
Did they mention me at all in the movie? Was my name up? Did my name come up? Did Roger Plant mention me at all?
I might have been making popcorn at that point.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that's it. No,
But
you
I'm
know, my
interested,
first gig on the road was with Led Zeppelin. You know, the only American on their tour.
No, Henry
With
Smith
me.
there was something
on that
about
tour.
a guy with a fish in Seattle, but
No, yes, the
We're not
King
gonna
Dome
talk
in
about it.
Seattle. That's what it was. The King Dome in Seattle is where they
horrible.
They really
sounding
screwed me.
building. The best thing that happened to the Kingdom was the day that they blew the damn place up.
yeah, even that didn't sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two shows, the Silver Dome in Pontiac, Michigan.
We did
That's
them
it.
back to back.
But I'd be interested in you guys checking it out, because I mean, maybe I ruined it now, but I thought it was like way overdone. Like, as good as the Beatles stuff sounded, you know, this is too far, I think.
Where did you stream it, Kurt? On what? On Netflix? On?
Oh, we just rented it on, you know, up here it's called Xfinity. It's just I just set it into my remote. It showed up on the TV and I pushed rent.
Okay.
You know,
I'll
it
check
wasn't a
it
big
out.
deal.
There you go.
I'll check it out.
But I'll be
The
interested
song
to
Yeah,
remains
where can
the
I stream
same.
it?
I'm checking right now.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
cool. Anybody else have any tips that you have of things to watch if you don't have enough things to do?
don't get me wrong, the movie's good. Like, you'll learn stuff that you probably didn't know, and it's good and it's well done and everything. It's just like somebody got a little happy with the AI enhance button.
I think when it came through Arizona, it was an IMAX movie.
Yeah, I didn't see it there, and maybe it's mastered for that or something. And and I'm not listening to it on my Myers in the studio. I was listening to it on some. I got some little JBL studio monitors and a little sub from Best Buy, and I put surround polks in the walls. It's just an okay system in my house. So, but it sounds very normal with everything else. So it's not that my stereo system was hyped. It sounds fine with everything else. So
Hey,
it's
I
not
got a
my
question for you. Were you when you watched this movie, did you have subtitles on it? Did you see it with subtitles to
No,
read? In other words, the closed caption, not subtitles, closed caption.
no, it's in English, and my hearing's still pretty good, Jan.
So a survey just was done by the language learning site Preply, and they found that more than half of the 1,260 Americans surveyed say they're watching shows with subtitles on because the soundtracks are too hard to understand.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Have you
times
have you seen that?
your TVs are fucking up the sound.
Now, you know what? I
Yeah.
actually, a friend of mine mixes movies, and he explained to me that the guy who did Oppenheimer, like that director, there's a whole bunch of directors that, for whatever reason, have decided that um, whatever their content, the spoken word content, they wanted lower in level. And so I found out, and I forget who it was. He told me that it's normal now for kids to put on so that they can read it because
Yeah.
they know that we're not going to hear the content properly. It's like the norm. You're just not going to hear the content properly. And to me, what fucked up thing that is. I
Well,
mean,
It
here's
is.
another thing. If you take if you listen to a full Atmos recording on your TV stereo speakers, no Atmos system, anything at all, you can't hear the dialogue then because of the encoding, it's expecting a center channel. So all you're hearing basically is left and right. So
Yeah, what I'm finding is I am definitely using closed captions more often than not now, and just so that basically I could hear what I could actually hear because sometimes it's just hard to make out the words. It's just hard to make out the words of what they're saying, especially in the soft moments of it.
but this is insane. This is
Yeah, it
insane.
shouldn't be.
yeah,
Well, the whole thing is most TVs have their speakers facing away from you. They don't have the no because to save space, they have the speakers behind the TV set and facing down or facing backwards.
Yeah, but
And so,
It's not saving space. It's just the screen is all facing forward. There's nowhere to
yeah,
put speakers
that's right.
facing towards you.
Exactly. But guys like Fred, I haven't watched his work, but I mean, I watch a lot of sport, and I mean, they make the crowd noise really loud, and I can hear the ball bouncing in basketball, and I can hear all sorts of stuff, but I can still hear the announcers. I might not like the tone, I might not like the volume, but I hear everything that the announcers are saying. So what they're telling me in a movie, with everything that's happening in the movie, they could not get, the
center
speech,
channel. Yeah.
yeah, the center channel properly done.
Dennis, I just did some basketball for CBS Sports, and they wanted them all in 5.1. So I thought, okay, well, I'll set it up and I'll do it in 5.1. And as soon as we went on the air, the tech manager hit me on the comm and said, hey, they're having trouble hearing the announcers. So I went to the stereo down mix, and holy shit, there were no announcers. So I pulled everything back, and I mixed the show in stereo, and was watching my 5.1 meter, but it was if I was trying to mix the show in 5.1, it would come out horribly for the people that are on the down mix.
So
So
yeah, you know what?
so
That's
going,
exactly what I read. Is that the 5.1 they're mixing for 5.1, but not everybody has a 5.1 speaker system. And
correct.
so when you don't have the 5.1 speaker system, you lose a lot of the level of the spoken voice.
I know,
Right.
but Fred, aren't you responsible for how the downmix algorithms are done so that it works for you as well in stereo?
It's supposed to, but again, when you're on a set shoot strike day, I don't know how the console down mix, how the fold down is set up. On the desk that's right there in the picture behind me,
Yeah.
there's 10 different presets that can be loaded as
But
far
don't
as
you
the
have-
down mix is concerned. So whoever mixed on the desk last, and the problem is it doesn't follow you. The down mix is whoever went into because you have to go into a text screen to get to it. It's under a lock and key. So whoever changed that last, that's what the console's still set to. So if they have
Yes,
their
but
fold downs,
even though that's true, Fred, it's still you're beaming it out to the world. And if you have a TV set that's not capable of getting 5.1, then you're missing the center
but
where
that's
where
the
they
whole
put the
depends.
the
that's the
vocals.
whole point of the coalition, though. They were supposed to. The FM part of this thing, the excuse my language, fucking magic, was supposed to be that
Oh, I love that. That's good magic.
all the TVs are supposed to figure that stuff out for you. If it was only a stereo TV, it's supposed to be able to take in the 5.1 and put it into your speakers correctly, but it doesn't.
But Fred,
That's right, it doesn't.
wouldn't it be one button on your console so you could switch from 5.1 to stereo?
Nope, that's what I was saying. It's in a technical menu. You have to unlock it and set it before you start.
And you don't have time to do that on a one-day setup.
I've never played with it. I don't know what the correct down mix levels are. Are you supposed to be 3 dB down in the front and 6 dB in the back? Are you supposed to be zeros all the way around? Where do you set it up? Everybody's got their own standard about how and what the thing is supposed to be like. And I was in the truck I was in, the truck of the day, right? As soon as I went to the stereo down mix, I was like, wow, I can't hear the announcers. So I just pulled everything back and mixed the show in stereo. And then in the next commercial break, I asked the tech managers, is everybody happy now? And they go, yeah, sounds great. So but the few times that it did flip back to the 5.1, it was like I couldn't hear any of the basketball. All I could hear was the announcers in the center channel. The other stuff was there, but having 9 dB of separation between the center channel and any of the other 4 channels or 5 channels seemed like a lot. It seemed like very extensive. Usually I'm about 6 dB or so. 9 to 12 down seemed extensive to me. But I don't get to mix in 5.1 that often. But like I said, when I went to go listen to the stereo mix, I was blown away. So I just pulled everything back, and everybody was happy.
How was that in
there you go.
Stanford? But did you have that issue when you were doing your work up in Stamford, Connecticut?
That was the first time I went to Stanford, I was Beijing, and I didn't have any control of it. It came in as 16 channels of Atmos, and it passed through me as 16 channels. I wasn't mixing anything. I was just taking.
That was the Olympics, right? That was the Olympics.
That was the Olympics, yeah. The last Olympics, I was doing Friends and Family, so that stuff was all just mono. It was just a channel mono.
Yeah. Anyway, to switch subjects, David Dansky just popped into the room, and he has just come from the Milken event, which is one of the more how do I put this, a financial legend in our times. And I've been seeing some amazing footage of some of the brilliant minds of our time of financial management are going to this Milken convention. David, is there anything you picked up from this Milken convention that you want to share as far as a tip on how to invest money?
Yeah. What did the guy say? He said, interest. 3 things. Interest. What did he say? Interest, fees, and humans can help you or fuck you up.
I'd say the humans could fuck you up the most. There you go,
So Dan Casting was telling me he had Elon Musk and Michael Milken for a thing, and then he had the head of NVIDIA there yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, they had the head of the Apollo group, which is, billions and billions of dollars that this guy, and he was fascinating in watching and what this is like a convention of the best minds of money management and investments in the world. They come together for 3 days of meetings.
Oh, and it's really high profile. I mean, there's wanding people and walking through magnetometers, and no luggage allowed in the building after a setup day. Like the guys who were flying home early today couldn't bring their luggage to the hotel so they could leave. They had to go back to their room that they've already checked out of to get to the airport. I mean, the security is really tight. And at the end of the show every year, they have a concert, a freebie, for whoever. Last year was what's his name from Creedence Clearwater, and the year before that was Diana Ross, and the year before that were the Beach Boys. And this year it was Nile Rodgers and Chic.
Oh.
And so all these people are going, "Who's Nile Rodgers?" And then,
oh man,
do you know who Nile Rodgers is?
Absolutely.
Man,
well, tell us, Greg. Tell us, Greg. Who is Nile Rodgers to you?
Nile Rodgers. Let's see. He was with David Bowie for years.
All right, I'll tell you. He wrote "Let's Dance" for David Bowie and produced it. He wrote "Like a Virgin" and "Material Girl" for Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
He worked at that studio where with the gentleman that you introduced us before when you went to Nam together. Didn't he work at that studio in New York?
I don't know studios. I can tell you that he was saying that he won an armful of Grammys, including Lifetime Achievement and R&B Song of the Year. I mean, he's just.
So who is the other guy? Who is the other guy?
With what other guy?
You said there were two names.
Nile Rodgers and.
Oh yeah, the guy's gone. His partner. I can't remember his name.
Well, what an impression it made. How can a guy like Miles Milken have an act that you have to think about what he's done? Anyway, what happened?
Well, the show was great. I'm just leaving it now.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I took some great videos. I got some pictures.
Well, and, if anybody wants to follow him, you follow him on Facebook. You can find it through here. So anyway, listen, we've been on for long. We're going to go goodbye, bye to social media. Just remember, everything you heard today is an opinion, especially from Wayne Sims. Anything you heard from him, remember, it's an opinion. Right, Wayne? There you go. Hey, so thanks for watching. Next week, 259. You can wish me happy birthday on Facebook. David's birthday is coming up in 2 days, May 9th. Wish him a happy birthday. Tom Source, May 10th. So happy there you go. Dave. We got a lot of May babies here. And so with that in mind, remember, you make it happen. Have a great week, everybody. And we will see you again next week in the same places you're watching it right now. And of course, if you want to join the panel, remember, just DM any one of us and we'll send you the link. Click the like button.